Well, hello again everybody. Adult only campsites. Are they a haven of peace and tranquility for mature people who just want to get away from the younger generation? Or are they a bit of a travesty, preventing families and young children from enjoying the sort of campsites that they want to visit? Now, just recently I've seen quite a bit of quite heated discussion online about this, and it's something that made me think a little bit, because we've stayed on adult only campsites, and also we do go camping quite often with children, and sometimes I have looked at a campsite and thought, wow, that'll be great, let's go there, and we've had a child with us and we've had to reconsider because it has been an adult only campsite that I've noticed and that I'm looking at. So the first thing that come to mind when I started to think about this is the matter of discrimination. Now, there's all sorts of legislation protecting people in all sorts of different groups against discrimination these days. So is a campsite owner actually allowed to say, you're in a certain age group, you are not welcome on my campsite? Well, generally speaking, any trader or service provider is not allowed to discriminate against you because of your age. However, the 2010 Equality Act does contain a few exemptions. Now, these are quite broad, and you can deny some age groups of service on health and safety grounds and suitability grounds. Obviously, you can't have toddlers going off to nightclubs and casinos and such, and similarly, you know, dangerous activities. If you run sort of a hang gliding company or something, you can't have people under a certain age, or so there are all these exemptions, and one of them is just because you're targeting a service at a group of people who have a common interest. So that's the one that's often used for holidays. There's like Club 1830, and you do get sort of over 60s holidays as well. So that is allowed because you're targeting a group of people with sort of common interests and needs, and you know, that's your aim in providing that service. So that is a justification for excluding people of other age groups. However, I think what we're mostly talking about here is an exemption in the 2010 Act, which removes the requirement to not discriminate on age for people under 18 in terms of the provision of services. So staying on a campsite is a service, and under 18s are not protected under the 2010 Act from discrimination in terms of staying on a campsite. So one of the concerns that I most often see expressed when people are discussing this online from the family's point of view is the increasing number of campsites, particularly CLs and CSs, that are making themselves adult only, and therefore the sort of perception that there's a diminishing number of sites that families can choose from, and they're being limited in where they can go for what's perceived as being no real reason. People always say, well, my children are well behaved, they're quiet, and they cause no trouble. So I thought I'd try and find out how many adult only sites there currently are, and it's quite difficult. This information isn't really that widely available. A lot of those sites, Camping and Caravanning Club and Caravan and Motorhome Club, do allow you to filter adult only, but there are some difficulties around this. So what I found was the campsites.co.uk website, which covers all types of campsites, lists over 375 campsites that are adult only. The Camping and Caravanning Club, most of their big sites are family sites, but they list 151 CSs which are adult only. There are some whole campsite chains, such as the Tranquil Park chain. We've stayed on a couple of their sites. They are exclusively adult only. Every single campsite in the chain is adults only. The Caravan and Motorhome Club, I'm not aware of any of their big sites which are adult only, but they do have adult only CLs. Now, they're actually quite difficult to nail down. You can search for adult only CLs by clicking the adult only icon, but the list you get up has CLs on it, quite a few CLs, which say they are suitable for adults and don't say they're suitable for families and children, but they don't specifically say they're adult only. So I do wonder what would happen if you booked onto one of those sites with children. I mean, we've been to quite a few quiet, peaceful, sort of out of the way CLs where there wouldn't be a great deal for to appeal to a teenager for sure, but certainly younger children you can find loads to do in the countryside and fields to run around in, that sort of thing. So yeah, I wonder quite what that means in terms of the Caravan and Motorhome Club. But there are CLs on there that do specifically state adult only, but some of them aren't that clear. Now, it has to be said, I have also seen some very strong defences mounted of the adult-only sites. People who have children and grandchildren and love spending time with them and such, who just like to get away from small children running around or large children running around and enjoy sort of the peace and quiet of an adult-only site. And yeah, that does seem to be quite a commonly held view. There are always lots of people who spring up in these discussions and are greatly in favour of adult-only sites. Now, I've sought an expert opinion on this. Young Mia is a full-time professional child, and I met up with her to interview her on the subject of adult-only campsites. Now, it didn't really go quite as planned because Mia decided that it would be her that asked the questions of me. So let's have a look and see how that interview went.
So, Grandpa, why do you think some campsites don't allow children?
Well, I think a lot of people who are older don't like the idea of noisy children running around and kicking balls around and throwing things against their van, that sort of thing. And I think another reason is some campsite owners can be a little bit cautious about things on their site, natural hazards like ponds and lakes. Lots of sites with fishing lakes and things can be adult only sites. So there's the safety thing perhaps, and there's also the disruption thing.
Next question. What facilities are there for children on child-friendly campsites?
Well, sometimes there's just no facilities. Sometimes campsites are just child-friendly, aren't they? They just allow children to stay there. We've stayed plenty of sites where there's not been specific child facilities. There's not been playgrounds and stuff. It's just been the campsite and whatever's around it. Go for bike rides, go for walks in the woods and stuff. But some of the bigger campsites do have playgrounds and, well, basically playgrounds is about all you see as facilities. Well, there's some of the bigger sites have things like family washrooms, don't they? Where you can go and bath smaller children and stuff. So
I remember when we went away to Clumber Park with Mummy, they had a big playground there, didn't they?
They did. And they had games and stuff as well, didn't they, by reception,
Yeah, that place was massive.
It was. And you got the whole of the park as well to go run around in.
What are your best 3 campsites that you've taken me to?
I think one of the best ones was the one in the Forest of Dean. What was that called? That was Camping and Caravanning Club site in the Forest of Dean. A huge, great one.
I don't remember that. Well, I remember going to a Forest of Dean, but I don't remember what it was called.
Yeah. Bracelands, that's it. Bracelands in the Forest of Dean. It's right in the middle of the woods. I think it had a playground, I can't remember. But there's loads of space for you to run around and ride your bike.
There was a forest, and I think we went searching in there, didn't we?
Yeah, you've got the whole forest surrounding you that you can go and get lost and attacked by bears in and stuff, isn't it? So, yeah, that's very good for children. And another good one, the one you like, is the one at Kessingland, isn't it?
Yeah.
Both the ones at Kessingland.
Yeah, so we've been to Kessingland twice, and I want to go again because I really like it.
Yeah.
But then I remember the second time we went, it was chucking it down with rain when we went to the zoo, so we had to sit inside the van and wait for the rain to stop so that we wouldn't get soaked and drenched.
But they're sites that are specifically allow children and provide facilities for children, so they're like family sites. But we have been to sites where they just allow children, they're just not specifically adults only. So places like the one we stayed at outside Sheffield, the Wyman Brook one, that had no facilities for children, it had no facilities at all really, other than place to camp. But that was still very good, and you had lots of stuff around to do, didn't you? Yeah.
Do you think it's fair that some campsites don't allow children?
Ooh, I think that's a difficult one. I think there's definitely a market there for sites to be adults only. There's definitely people that like to stay on adults only sites. You do see a lot of people saying that they like that. We have had problems before where we've wanted to go somewhere, or somewhere's looked nice, and it's not particularly been
as nice as it looks.
Well, it's been as nice as it looks, but it's been adult only, so we've not been able to take you there. So, and there's places we've been where we thought, oh, Mia would like it here, but then you look and it's adult only, and there doesn't appear to be any particular reason for it to be adult only. So it's not like right by a lake or something like that, or particularly designed for sort of restful old people to stay. I don't know. So there just seems no particular reason for it to be adult only. Yeah, I mean there are some, I think that like the Tranquil Parks chain, they're all adult only, and they just market themselves as being tranquil, I suppose. But some places just are adults only for no particularly obvious reason. So yeah, I don't know whether it's fair or not, but there's certainly a good market there for it.
Have you and Nanny ever been away and got interrupted by children?
I honestly don't think we have. I don't think we've ever been anywhere where we've thought to ourselves, I wish there were no children here. We've never had sort of balls kicked against the van, or frisbees thrown against the van, or sort of been woken up in the early hours or late at night by children.
Apart from when I've been with you and I wake you up.
Well, apart from you, yeah.
Well, that was in the old van when I slept up the top. I had to wake you up to then get the ladder down for me. Yeah,
but that's inside the van, isn't it?
Yes.
That's just us. I don't think you've ever disrupted other people's holiday when we stayed on a campsite, have you? No. So yeah, I don't think we have. So what do you reckon? Should adults only sites be allowed?
I'm not sure, because I mean, like families like going away with their kids, but then it's nice to get away from your kids sometimes. So
is it?
Yeah.
Is that what they tell you?
Sometimes, yeah.
Is that what your mummy and daddy say?
Yeah, because in half term they sometimes get a bit annoyed because I'm with them. I have to be with them all the time.
Yeah. I suppose the risk is that they'll get so many adult-only sites that there's nowhere to go with children.
Yeah.
I think that's what a few people are concerned about. But at the moment, it doesn't seem too bad. We can always find somewhere to stay with you, can't we?
I feel like there's 50-50 of adult campsites and family campsites.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know actually, whether it might not even be 50-50. There might still be a lot less adult only than ones that you can take children to.
Maybe.
Yeah, don't know. Yeah, quite a balanced view, really. Well, you might be saying to yourselves, this is all well and good, but what is your opinion, Alex? Well, my opinion is that there is probably room for both kind of sites. I think CL and CS owners are probably disproportionately affected if they are unlucky enough to have badly behaved children staying on their site, and of course they're perhaps going to worry a little bit more about hazards on things like farms. Some CLs are around fishing lakes, things like tractors driving around, all this sort of thing. So perhaps you can understand the small CL owners. The campsite's not their main business. They're trying to minimise what they perceive as risks. So yeah, I have a little bit of sympathy for the worried CL and CS owner. On the other hand, I remember my youth, a lot of time spent staying in caravans on the smaller CL type campsites, mostly not really designed to cater towards children, but still had a great time just sort of playing around in woods and fields and that sort of thing. And I think there is a lot to be said for taking children to some of these quieter, more remote sites where they're less specifically catered for. Obviously it's great to go to a big campsite where there's playgrounds and games rooms and all this sort of thing, but yeah, it is nice sometimes to, especially for the younger children, to take them somewhere a little bit quieter where you have to think more about making your own entertainment. And of course it would be a shame if we gradually lost that. However, I don't think we're really anywhere near that now. We've had no real trouble, apart from perhaps seeing things that look nice and then realising they're adult only. We've still been able to find nice places to stay with young Mia. So yeah, we haven't really suffered in terms of not being able to take children away with us. And correspondingly, we haven't really suffered either from being on sites where children have been sort of disruptive or somehow negative to the experience. So I'm a little bit sort of not bothered really by the whole thing. But yeah, I think it does need watching, just so that the balance doesn't shift too far one way or the other. So yeah, a little bit of a different video today. Let me know in the comments what you think to the subject of adult only sites versus family sites. And we'll see you again soon in a future video.